Hello, my name is Omar Rampersad. It is April 17th, 2018 at 4:30 p.m. in Toronto. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm hearing around my unit, both outside the door and outside my window and through the ventilation system as well. So there is constant conversations around my unit with regard to the community targeting program that's ongoing against myself. So there seemed to be yet another submission for mental evaluation or questioning or whatever, based on lies, out and out lies as usual, and piggybacking on reports that were submitted previously. So I'm just going to say here that, if there are any claims of my being depressed, chronically depressed, obviously I'm not, can't feed myself. Uh, I think I look pretty good for somebody who can't feed themselves or take care of themselves. Herself, I should say. Anyways, so lies, obviously, lies, out and out lies. I also heard that there was somebody in this building, a worker, who had a peace order or a cease and desist order or something like that against me. Now, this is the worker who is in court, I'm suspecting, is in court with me. So it's interesting that I have him in court for harassment because I'm suspecting that he swore an affidavit claiming that he suspects me to be a prostitute. So obviously, if that is true, and it hasn't been disclosed to me and was taken as part of the evidence to have me mentally committed, this would be a perfect example of harassment, sexual harassment. This would be proof that the harassment was, started a long time ago and is ongoing. Because if somebody suspects you to be a prostitute, then this person will harass you. And if he's calling the cops or working with the cops to clean up the area, quote unquote, and he suspects you to be a prostitute, then calls are going to be made by him, by people who works with him, by people who work with him that he infiltrates and colludes with, to make calls to the police to make me look like I'm a prostitute. So I'm suspecting that the same person, while doing all of this, went and got some sort of an order against me because presumably I'm the one who's harassing him, when he is the one who flagged me as something I never was, I'm not, and never could be. So this is how targeting works. Now, obviously, he's talking to the police about me. So I'm all over the net saying I'm not a prostitute, never have been. I've been complaining about men following me around, so prostitutes don't do that. Um, and I did every possible thing that I could think of to get information about what's going on, the targeting that I'm facing. However, the fact that two cops came into my home and told me that I was mentally ill and I was delusional when I talked about gang stalking, and I talked about protecting myself against electromagnetic radiation. The two put together, when the cops heard this, they came up with the conclusion that I was delusional or paranoid, and or paranoid. So the cops are not believing anything I say. They obviously think I'm mentally insane because every time I complained about being stalked, and the stalking is a result of people in this building starting this campaign to have me mentally committed. So, in order to do that, they had to gather information to present to a magistrate to get the warrant. So, um, there is, in the past, there is this activity going on. The proof is that I was pulled out of my home based on this activity. So, this activity of stalking, harassment, being spied on, was being carried on in order to get information to submit to a magistrate. The information in that file that was used were instigated situations, setups, frames, lies, deliberate misinterpretations, but they were being used anyways. So when I was telling the police that I was flagged and I was being gang stalked, I didn't use the word flagged. I said I was being gang stalked, and the gang stalk, the people who took part in the gang stalking were people who are taking part in the program to get information, a quote unquote information, or actually misinformation, to harass me into getting the information. And the contrived situations. As a result of incited anger and deliberate misinterpretations of reactions to being harassed. So all of this information was accumulated. So when I told the cops that I was being gang stalked, I was actually being gang stalked because there was this envelope that was open to get information, to accumulate information. So because the intention was to have me mentally committed, and I'm a target, people can go about lying, harassing me, spying on me, and telling all sorts of um, out and out, complete and utter lies that were being believed, because there was an incident that I was actually pulled out of my home. So somebody believed the lies. So were there warrants that were in the system, that is still in the system, that was put there as a result of people getting a 7 day? I heard it's valid for 7 days. Getting the 7 day warrant where I can be picked up anywhere I am in public, by a policeman. How many warrants like these are there in the system? That would be quote unquote evidence to prove that, gee, Oma is mentally ill. However, the backup for those warrants, if they are still in the system, are lies, a direct result of my being targeted. So there is no validity to it, none whatsoever. If I'm recorded swearing inside my home, that's inside of my home. I talked to my therapist about this. She actually thought it was a good idea. I don't, I try not to shout. I do speak as I'm talking right now. However, everything I do and say inside my home is being recorded. I'm being illegally surveilled inside my home, which is very easily done because, I live in a condominium and people are above, below, beside, all sides. So very easily done to be spied on. So if I swear, it's a result of my being sworn at. There are really, really nasty comments that are being made outside my door, outside my window, which is why there was a court proceedings going on, a legal action that has been taken against, a set of legal action that has been taken against one person. So I'm trying to get this all figured out in a courtroom setting. However, you could well imagine that constantly being harassed, criminally harassed this way, will get you angry. And on top of that, I'm suspecting that remote technologies like lasers and microwaves are being used as well to incite my anger and to try to incite me into violence, which is never, ever, ever going to happen because I don't believe in violence, number one, and it's not in my nature to become violent. So this is not going to happen. However, the attempts are never are ongoing. It never stops. It's constant because this, excuse me, constant because this targeting is constant. It's ongoing. It's day and night, constant. It follows you everywhere you go. So when I tell the police that I'm being gang stalked, meaning that everywhere I go, I will be harassed, this is exactly what happens. There's no delusion, uh, disorder. There's no paranoia. There's no delusional disorder, I should say. There's no paranoia because it's actually happening. However, I've been told that it's all in my head, basically. So this is to me, it seemed to be a cover up for the community targeting program to continue, which is actually a way of disposing of someone. You can dispose of them in three ways. You can have them mentally committed, you can have them imprisoned for a very long time, or you can kill them off, basically. And the way you do that is to constantly attack them, attack their reputation, attack their health, physically, mentally, via stress. Use remote technologies like lasers and microwaves and so on, and completely bring down the person to death, basically. So pretty much harass them to death. That's one way to dispose of the person. So if there is another claim in court to get a mental evaluation or to serve papers for whatever, this is my side of the story. Now you have a conflict. Excuse me. Now you have conflicting evidence to that whatever document that's being prepared. Questioning is in order. I should be questioned before anything is being done. Somebody comes to my door, should be questioned because you have conflicting information. It contradicts the information that is being presented to whoever they're being presented to. And this is very public. It's a very public process because the community is taking part, so everybody knows. Therefore, I'm assuming that the judges and the magistrate will know as well. So two sides of the story should be taken into account, and this is my side. This is the truth. I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. I am looking for work. I'm being thrown out of the workplace because I'm being harassed in the workplace as a direct result of this targeting program. I'm not in financial distress. Once I get working, there'd be absolutely no financial distress. I am looking to be married, so there's no depression. There's no isolation either. I just need to be working, period. And if this constant submissions for mental evaluations or till late charges stops, if this targeting stops, um, there's not going to be an issue at all. There's not going to be a work issue. There's not going to be any issue, period. So what needs to happen is the flagging, the ongoing flagging needs to stop, and due process should be given. If there are any orders people have that anyone, let me say that again. If there are any orders that anyone has against me, please serve it, and I'll see you in court. But don't keep talking about it over and over and over and over and over again ad nauseum and keep spinning this propaganda machine that is meant to destroy me. And it basically kicked me out of the workplace. So I'm constantly looking for work, and this should not be. So I just refuse to be destroyed, basically. I will not be destroyed, nor will I stay quiet about what's going on. So this is my side of the story, and it's the truth. Talk to you another time.